Godzilla.
New
True,
Godzilla.
true Godzilla.
True Godzilla. Yes, that definitely
Or
felt like
Godzilla.
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 Godzilla. Shin
Or,
Gojira.
or as they call him, Gojira and Godzilla in the movie. Anyways.
How do you know that reference? Transformers?
Transformers. Gojira.
Which is the...
Kind of. It's sketchy. Anyway.
Back to Shin Godzilla.
Godzilla.
What do you think to it?
Okay, well, the opening I felt had a very much a Cloverfield vibe to it.
Yeah,
with all the handheld cameras, and I was liking that.
Oh, you like that, did you?
I did like that, and some of the visuals at the beginning were really good. Of some of the instructions and the panicking, I really liked that. Then there was a lot of the
Talky bits.
Talking. That was the one thing about this film. It had a lot of talking. Basically, a lot of political meetings. There was a meeting, which led to another meeting, which led to another meeting, and basically
back and forth to other
meetings.
Exactly.
There was like different political aspects of the government, like the higher up government, and then the military, and each one had their little meetings, and the people who were working on how to fight against the monster. And it like virtually most of the movie was meetings. His
reaction to first seeing Gojira in this film was like, is that Godzilla?
Yeah, the fuck. What was that? And also had the buggy eyes. Now, is it true that the people who made this made the Attack on Titan movie?
They made the Attack on Titan films, I believe.
If it is, that's what that's. I mean, Attack on the Titans in the Attack on Titan movie had that bug-eyed, and the eyes didn't look good. The eyes on, that's the first thing I noticed about the early form, because when Godzilla first shows up, it's like a pre-Godzilla form, and you go, that ain't Godzilla.
Yeah, I thought the first time I watched this film.
The eyes look animated badly. Now, here's the thing I noticed, is there were some of the shots that looked really good, then there's some of the shots that weren't. Some were good, some were not.
Was it the CGI that put you off some of it?
Sometimes, yes.
Suitmation.
Yes, it had an almost where you had live action in the foreground and then monster in the background. It kind of almost invoked a kind of a Power Ranger, kind of slight Power Ranger vibe, or Sentai. Sentai Ranger vibe.
Japan.
Which kind of like made it look a bit cheaper. Now the weird thing is that sometimes the film looked a bit cheap, as at other times it didn't. And look, but the one thing was very real. You felt it was in a very real world. Like they were filming with real military vehicles.
Yeah.
And they were filming it inside cockpits. And some of the cameras,
point of views,
like there was the tank operators, and the cameras like on their nose because basically they were filming inside the tank.
That's
anyway,
right.
Back to the structure. I'll let you do the structure of the film because we're going all over the place.
That's right, that's fine. The also thing about this film in Shin Gojira is that it reminded me of the Return of Godzilla, where Godzilla's on his own sort of thing, kind of going back to his dark roots. And it was, if you want to go back even further than that, we've got the original 1954 Gojira.
Yeah.
And its design was a bit like that, plus the use of cues of 1954 music.
The music, I love that. I love that. It was just, I mean, it was
epic.
The music almost sounded out of place, but it also worked. It's like
I agree with you on that.
Yeah,
I noticed that when I first watched the film. This is the second time I watched it, and the second time watching it, I took it in a lot more.
But they gave
I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, they gave you a lot more. I think it's because you had your expectations in the first time you watched it, as where now you could just enjoy it.
Yeah.
In your second view.
Because obviously this is your first view.
This is my first view. As a film, because of the political talking aspect, that kind of made the film drag a bit. I felt they could have condensed that a bit more, made it more an hour and 40 instead of 2 hours. That could have been trimmed. But it was almost like they'd taken meticulously all the processes of the government on their plans. Because you knew exactly what was happening, because they told you every single little detail of the plan as it was going on. So when it came to the big fight finish at the end, you knew exactly what was going on. That was the one thing that was good about the process of the film. It takes it through meticulously, and you go from scene to scene. You know what's happening in front of you. It's like some action movies, like Godzilla movies, you don't know half the time, it's just explosions.
Like in the Return of Godzilla, they kind of, from 1984, they kind of get rid of Godzilla by using chirpy bird sounds, like for radars, and they lure him up to like this volcano mountain where they set off explosions and stuff like that. And they kind of figured out the plot in the middle of the film, or 3/4 of the way through the film. Like they had like the plan in this one.
In this one was like the freezing Godzilla as opposed to nuke. By the way, is this the first movie? I know that they've had plans in other Godzilla movies to basically nuke Godzilla. Yeah. Is the first time this was happening by the Americans? Because I was watching to go, the Americans are going to bomb Japan. That was a bit.
Actually, no. Going back to 1984's Return of Godzilla, they had in the 80s, you had the tension from the USA, tension from Russia.
Oh, there was a tension, but it was like in this movie, there's the Japan have got their plan to freeze Godzilla, and the Americans are going, nuke him. And they're like, no, don't nuke him yet.
Yeah. Can't say anything bad about America.
It just a bit like Japan going, oh no, here we go again.
Yeah, they were quite neutral, Japan though, weren't they? I think they have to be, it's their film, and they showed a lot of grey side forwards in this film, sort of thing.
So one thing I do notice about certain some animes and some Japanese movies, they're very pro-Japanese government, and it's almost like they're showing how their government works. Yeah. This was almost a government training program in a way. Some aspects of it.
Yeah, I can see it coming from there.
But it's getting back to Godzilla himself. Again, when Godzilla became true form, it was like, yes, that's Godzilla.
Exactly.
That is him.
Exactly.
And again, there were some shots that just looked beautiful, but there were some that like, I wasn't too sure about that. But the more we got in, the further we got into the movie, the better the shots looked. I mean, you said your favourite shot was when he just went ape.
And just basically annihilates the city with his atomic breath. Just setting it all alight and different.
And all the lasers coming out the back and his tail at the same time. It was like, oh my God.
He's
like he had like the flame, which then kind of concentrated into a
the
beam
jaw coming out,
and then that beam had an almost like a classic Godzilla sound.
And there's like animated beam of atomic breath sort of thing. But let's move on from the film. I just want to know, what does Godzilla mean to you?
Well, Godzilla is, I mean, I'm like you, I'm not a massive Godzilla fan, but Godzilla it's an icon. It's I mean, as I was growing up, Godzilla is as much as an icon as Superman or Batman or Spider-Man. It was something that was integral to part of my growing up.
Yeah.
The movies were present. I grew up with the 1980s, 1970s, 1980s Godzilla cartoon. Hanna-Barbera, yeah. It wasn't great, but oh my God, you love that kind of stuff. So Godzilla to me, it's something that's omnipresent, and I always enjoyed my Godzilla movies. I'm not a Godzilla nut. I like my Japanese movies and my anime. I'm not Godzilla, but I do enjoy a good Godzilla movie.
And was it a pleasant surprise seeing Shin Godzilla?
Oh gosh, yes. I mean, the fact that this was back to its roots, as you say.
Dark.
It was unapologetic. It's a Godzilla movie. Godzilla shows up, screws up the town. They find a way of beating him. That is the basis of the whole film.
No fighting monsters or anything like that.
I kind of wanted, but I suppose if
you wanted that,
but I suppose if you're doing like this is true Godzilla, then you've got to go back to the roots, which is just Godzilla.
True.
I mean, if they do more movies off this, I won't mind a bit of Mon Mothma exactly and all the loads of monsters showing up.
Maybe new monsters that might come along.
New monsters, yeah.
But thank you very much, Alex.
Yeah.